stop what you're doing. If your seedlings look like this, you are actively sabotaging your garden. I know, you see a full pot of sprouts and you think, success. Look at all these little plant babies. You might even think what you're doing is helping you. You could not be more wrong. So what you're actually looking at is a silent, brutal war for survival. And it's happening right now in your house or in your greenhouse. This single mistake is actually strangling your harvest potential before it even begins. Don't feel bad. This is a common trap for all gardeners. And today, I'm going to show you how to solve that. We're going to take and turn these crowded contenders into individual champions. The signal to act is when you see the plant's first true set of leaves. And I'm going to show you exactly what to do the moment they appear. So why is this little seedling huddle such a big deal? Well, it actually boils down to one thing, and that is competition. Right now, these plants are locked in a silent underground war. They're fighting each other for everything they need to survive. First, they're fighting for light. So the strongest seedling will stretch up and create a canopy, maybe shading out the other smaller siblings. Those shaded plants get weak and they start to become leggy. Below the soil, an even fiercer battle is raging. Each one of these seedlings is scrambling to build its own root system. It's in a crowded pot. Their roots just do nothing but become entangled. It's like asking 5 people to share a lunchbox. Everyone ends up hungry and weak. They're all fighting for the same limited water, nutrients, and all that stuff in this tiny little bit of soil. Would you rather have one strong, thriving champion or 5 struggling contenders? When you force seedlings to compete, no one really wins. They burn precious energy actually fighting each other instead of putting that energy into strong stems, green leaves, and that massive root system that they're going to need in order to get yourself a huge harvest. Now, a lot of gardeners actually feel a little bit guilty about this part. They don't want to kill that extra seedlings. But I want you to refrain from that thought entirely. You're not actually killing these seedlings. What we're going to do is we're going to save them by separating them. Instead of one pot producing a single struggling plant, we're about to have 5 or 6 or more individual thriving plants. This isn't destruction, it's more about multiplication. So how do we actually know when it's the perfect time to step in and give your seedlings their own space? The plants will actually tell you. You just have to learn to tell the difference between their baby leaves and their actual true leaves. When a seed first sprouts, the first little leaves that you see, they're called cotyledons, and you can think of these as the plant's baby teeth, or more accurately, it's packed lunch. They are simple, and most of them are just oval shaped, and they provide that first jolt of energy from the seed itself. These are not the true leaves. After about a week or 2, you're probably going to see a brand new set of leaves starting to grow. These are actually the true leaves. You'll notice right away that they look a little bit different. They actually have the real shape and texture of what the adult plant is supposed to look like. For tomatoes, they're going to be jagged or lobed. For peppers, they're going to be a little more pointed in appearance of those of the first true leaves. And this is your signal. It's the plant saying, okay, I have finished my packed lunch. I am ready to start making my own food, and I'm going to need my own apartment now. For fast growers like tomatoes, this usually happens somewhere in the 2 to 3 week range after they actually sprout. For the slower plants like peppers, you might actually want to wait a little bit longer, maybe 4 or 5 weeks until they actually have a couple of strong sets of true leaves. You want to act when the plants are big enough to handle this move, but you want to do it before the roots get hopelessly tangled. So you don't need any fancy or expensive gear to do this. In fact, you probably have everything that you need lying around your house somewhere. First, you're going to need pots. Nursery pots, big solo cups, yogurt containers, or any plastic cup works great, as long as you poke holes in the bottom for drainage. Now, for getting drainage is a fatal flaw that's going to lead to root rot. I like a preferred 4-inch pot is what I usually pot my stuff up at. Next, you're going to need soil. It's important to use good quality potting mix and not that sterile starting mix. These plants have used all their seed energy and they need actual food in order to grow strong. Make sure that you pre-moisten your mix so that it feels a little bit damp, kind of like a wrung out sponge. You don't want no big muddy mess, but just a little bit damp. Finally, your high-tech separation tool, a dinner fork. Yeah, a dinner fork works great. Or you can do like I do and just gently tease apart the roots with your hands. You want to make sure that you have a pencil or marker, some type of printing label like a popsicle stick or something like that. Now that we got all that, let's go get our hands dirty. Alright, so let's talk about the separating of the seedlings. This method actually works best if your soil is a little on the drier side. Now you don't want it to be bone dry. It's less messy and it makes separating the roots a whole lot easier. You can use this method, but if the soil is moist, it works just as well as that as well. Start by gently squeezing the sides of the pot and loosen up everything. Then, as you're squeezing the sides, slowly grab the stems and gently pull up. The whole block of soil and seedlings should slide right out. Now, here comes the delicate part. Gently start crumbling the soil away from the edges as the dry soil kind of falls away. You'll see individual root systems start to appear. As long as you don't get too aggressive, you can shake it and let the soil fall away from the roots this way as well. To separate them, hold the two seedlings by their stems right at the base of where the soil and the root actually start and tease them apart. Think of this as like untangling a delicate necklace chain. If you just rip it, it's going to break. You have to be a little bit patient, so wiggling them back and forth just a little bit and shaking them a little, and you're going to feel the roots start to let go. You may hear or feel the tiny little roots tearing a little bit, but that's totally okay. Plants like tomatoes are incredibly tough. There you go. One of the perfect seedlings has now turned into two, and they're ready for their new home. Now, we're just going to repeat this process for the rest of these. Okay, now that all the seedlings are free, it's time to give them an upgrade. How you plant them from here makes a big difference. It's a little different for tomatoes than it is for peppers. Let's start with the tomato. Fill your pot right to the top with pre-moistened potting mix. Then use your finger or your thumb to poke a deep hole right in the center. Now take your tomato seedling. See all these little tiny fuzzies on this stem? Those are all potential roots. Tomatoes have this superpower where they can actually grow roots along any part of their stem that's buried or touches the soil. We're going to plant these as deep as possible. Gently place the seedling in the hole. The soil will come right all the way up to the lowest set of bottom leaves. And then we're going to backfill this hole around the stem. This deep planting trick is like giving your plant a huge head start, creating a massive, strong root system that will anchor it, and it will drink up more water, which directly translates to a stronger plant and way more tomatoes. Now, for the peppers are a little bit different. They don't have that actual superpower. Burying the pepper stem is like putting a turtleneck on someone that doesn't have a neck. It's not actually going to help it. It might actually hurt the stem and cause it to rot. So for our pepper seedlings, we're just going to plant them at the same depth that they were growing before. So we'll fill the pot all the way to the top of the soil. Then use your thumb or index finger to actually poke a deep hole in the center. The hole should be about as deep as the current root system is currently. Then backfill the hole with soil and you're good to go. Once these are all potted up, they'll need a good long drink. I like to bottom water these. Just place the pots in a tray with an inch or so of water. The dry soil will actually wick that moisture up from the bottom. This method here actually encourages the roots to grow down deep and searching for that water. So you're actually training them to be deep divers and build a more resilient foundation for those hot summer months. And they're going to need those deep roots in order to survive these hot summer months. So now that you just performed major surgery on your plants and your little seedlings, they're going to be in what I call a transplant shock. And it's totally normal for them to look a little bit wilty and a little bit sad for a day or two. But don't panic, it's normal. The most important thing you can do for those plants and those seedlings right now is to give them a break. Think of them as patients in a recovery room. You wouldn't actually send one of those patients out to run a marathon right after an operation. So don't put them back under an intense grow light or put them out in a sunny, hot greenhouse. Instead, give them a little vacation in a spot somewhere that's gentle with indirect light for 2 or 3 days. This is going to give those roots a chance to settle in and start working again. After a few days, you're going to see them perk right back up. That's when you can actually move them back into a sunny spot. Alright, so let's quickly go over some mistakes to avoid so you can make sure that you nail this the first time. First is timing. Don't do it too early before your seedlings have their first true leaves. Don't wait so long either where you're actually fighting these impossible root of knots. Second, shallow planting. With tomatoes especially, not burying the stem deep is a huge missed opportunity to build a strong, super strong transplant. And third, forgetting the drainage. I'll say this again, every pot needs holes. No exceptions. Fourth, skipping that recovery period. Blasting your freshly transplanted seeds with intense sun is like giving them a sunburn right after surgery. Give them a few days of shade to recover. And finally, the biggest mistake of all, just snipping out those extra seedlings at the soil line and throwing them away. Don't throw away a perfectly good transplant. Separate them and multiply for your future harvest. So look at this. A few minutes ago, this crowded cell of struggling plants and these seeds, now you actually have 6 individual healthy seedlings, each with their own space, their own light, and their own food. This will become a beast in the garden. We didn't just stop them from choking each other out. We actually multiplied our potential harvest by 6 or 7 more plants. This simple step is one of the most powerful things you can do early in the season to set yourself up for a truly amazing garden. So if this video was helpful, please give this video a thumbs up. It really does help, and it makes a huge difference to me. Make sure you subscribe for more gardening tips that lead to a huge harvest. I want to hear from you. Drop a comment down below and let me know, have you been making the same mistakes, leaving your seedlings crowded? Or do you have your own little simple trick of separating them? Let me know down in the comments because I read every single comment. Thank you for sticking around to the end of the video, and like always, keep it growing.